Good morning. How are you today? Huh? So good morning. It is the 10th, so it's the second day of Tome Topple, and I'm stuck in bed because this one won't move, but she's so cute, so I'll allow it. For a bit anyway. Hi guys, so it is now 2:47 p.m. on the 10th of November, and I have just finished my 100 pages for the day. So I had to catch up on some pages from last night because I fell asleep, but I've done my 100 pages for the day, so I'm on 209 of The Haunted Queen by Alison Weir, and we have just gone up to the bit where Jane has been admitted to being in the court service, and then she was a handmaid to Catherine of Aragon. She's now reluctantly a handmaid to Anne Boleyn, and now the king is sort of taken an interest in her and noticed her. So it's getting into the more interesting bit. Like, not that her childhood and like growing up and learning that she wanted to be a nun and all these things weren't that interesting, but this part of the novel intercepts with the King's Obsession, which is Anne Boleyn's book, which is why I really love these novels, because each novel sort of builds on the latest one, because all these stories are interconnected and it's fabulous. So I'm currently done reading that. I will probably read some more of my audiobook for the moment, but my main priority is to get this finished in a few days, because I want to start reading the big boy and I want no interruptions on that. So I'm going really well and I'm enjoying reading this. I always enjoy Weir's work, so that's my update for now. So I will see you in the next one. Bye. It's the 11th of November and it's officially day 3 of the Tome Topple, and I'm just heading out to go to coffee with a friend of mine, and that'll be that for today. I don't know if I'll get anything read because I'm not bringing any books, because I'm not carrying around. I've got to walk downtown, so I'm not carrying around big books on my back. But we'll just see what happens. And yeah, so that's my update to the day, and I'll check in later. Bye. Hi guys, it's me. I am back. I think from my last update I was heading towards going downtown to see a friend, and yes, that did happen, but when I got back home I was so tired and I have not been in the best mental state today, so I just slept. Like, I was that run down, tired, and just I physically couldn't do anything, and so I had a nice break and just read a bit, just chilled out for a bit. So I think last time I updated you I was on page 250. I'm now on page 368, and it's interesting for me to see the change from Jane being so staunchly like, I'm not going to become like Anne, I would never steal another woman's husband, into an effect she didn't really steal Henry, but it's still the same thing, because now the common folk are screaming that Jane's a usurper and that Jane, like, His Majesty is like queen for another woman, which is a repeat of what Anne did to Catherine. So it's funny in a way how sort of history does repeat itself in that way, but just to see Jane go from someone who was like, I'm never going to serve Anne, she ended up serving Anne, I'm never going to do this, this, and this, and to have her become that person towards the end of the book, I think the change is really interesting, and the change in how she justifies everything. And like, one of the most interesting things is that Jane feels a lot of guilt for the fact that Anne is now dead. And now I am a firm believer that Henry wanted an excuse to get rid of Anne probably, and just that the fact that, you know, all this was right conveniently there for him to take her out is a factor, and many people have different opinions on that. That's just mine. But the fact that Jane still is praying for her and still feels some semblance of guilt for being the reason why, not one of the reasons, a factor in why Anne's downfall was so quick, sort of is interesting and quite compelling. And the parents, her mother and sisters, like, try to forget, try to think of it, that justice has been done, that God is having retribution for the fact that the king essentially broke with the faith and whatever else. And then you just get the fact that, you know, Jane is going to become queen. So technically he's still breaking with faith, even though Jane is more pious and more innocent. And it's just interesting to see the mechanics of how everyone's thinking. So by this time we are nearing her wedding, which was only 12 days after Anne's execution. So there's not much left in the book. The book is 500 pages. I'm on page 368. And by tonight I should be on page 400. And then tomorrow I'll be able to finish my first book of the readathon. So I will let you guys know how that goes, and I will see you guys in the next update. Bye. It's finished book number 1. So yes, I've officially finished The Haunted Queen by Alison Weir, and it's only day 3, which makes me so happy for the rest of the readathon to focus on Big Boy. But this was fantabulous. I loved wrapping up the whole Anne Boleyn saga with Jane Seymour, and just this was so good. It felt really surreal to read, and just I loved reading from Jane's perspective, even though she was a bit naive at times, and it was good. It was really good. At times I did find it hilarious that Henry would like say stuff about Anne, considering that during the years that they were together he liked some of the stuff that she supposedly did. And that was really interesting to see how his thoughts and feelings changed, because a significant portion of this book is when Anne is still in power and Jane is lady-in-waiting. So it was really interesting to see her downfall from Jane's perspective and how Jane sort of accepted what she was doing, I think is the phrasing I'm trying to use. Because like I said in the beginning of the book, she is vehemently like, Catherine is the true queen. I am never ever going to steal anyone's husband. And then it's just interesting. It's interesting and compelling, and that's why I love to read it. And now it will go perfectly on my shelves with Anne Boleyn and Catherine of Aragon in the little hole that I've created for it. So this was really good. So that marks off my first book of the readathon read. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm probably not going to vlog much because I've got a lot of errands to run tomorrow, and I don't particularly like vlogging in public, but I will let you know if I start reading anything or if I've read anything more of Legacy of Ash. So that's that, and I'll see you guys in the next vlog. Bye. Hi, welcome back to my vlog. It is day 4 of the readathon. It is 11:42 in the morning, and I didn't really vlog the last couple of days because I was not in a good headspace, and I just finished Jane Seymour's book, and I wanted to give myself a couple of days to let all that just simmer so I could start catching up on Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. I am currently 130 pages in and loving the world and the world building, but I have what I'm calling Pierre Ford syndrome, where it's the only 2 characters I care about are only prevalent in this particular area, and we're off in like the kingdom area and all that, and a lot of it is not making much sense. Like, they all talk about this person called Katara. Anyway, she did something, and then in the first chapter, which is like a flashback, she was killed, and then we flash forward 15 years, and her son and his sister are now sort of ruling. But it's not clear what she did to warrant everyone thinking her as a traitor, because we didn't get much time with her. Like, in the opening chapter, she's escaping and she it's like, let me protect my children, go off and continue my legacy, blah 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 blah. So it's very hard to sort of immerse yourself in the world and immerse yourself in this hatred when we didn't get to know what she did. And there are hints about it, and I have noted some of the hints down on post-it notes in chapters where they mention, like, thinking of her as a traitor, but at this point, I'm just like, what did she do? Like, short of
you know, maybe betraying the other people to their side, murdering the ruling lord or something. What did she do? I want to know more about her, because in the first chapter we got such a good characterization, and I'm like, who is she? And that's why I'm keep reading it. Her son is admittedly a good character. His sister I don't know more of, but we're focusing on all these different things, and it's good. But I want to know more about this specific character, and that's why I'm reading it, to find out what happened. And if this is a thing where this is just a setup book and we don't get to know what happened until like book 2 or 3, I'm going to be so ripped off, because you can't keep hinting at this stuff and not have it revealed. Like, if it was opened up with a chapter with her showing what she did and then the ramifications of that, and then it being set and the rest of it has to do with, then I think I would be enjoying it more, because I know what's going on. But right now I'm left in the dark and I'm left guessing, and even though that's a good thing, I still think having just a little bit more information would help me see why these people hate this woman so much or think of her as a traitor. So that's currently where I'm up to. I want to try and get at least 300 pages in by the end of the day, just so I can catch up and start, like, get this done, because I really want to read it, because it's so good, but I'm just having a lot of that. So I will talk to you guys in the next vlog, and I will let you guys know where I'm up to.
So I've got my beverage in my Make-A-Wish tumbler. I've got my bookmark out, and I'm doing some reading in the morning. I've just underlined some quotes and put a post-it note in with some of my thoughts from the current 100 pages that I've just read. And now I'm up to page 241 of, I believe this is 640 pages. So I am going to try and get at least to page 400 today, and hopefully get some more into this. The thing about this book is that it's so big, so it's so intimidating, but also I don't find myself caring about the other plot other than the plot with the two children of the person who was killed in the first part of the book, because, like, those are the ones who I care about. But it's not bad. It's not bad. I am enjoying it somewhat. So that's my update for this morning, and then I will check in with you guys later. Also, while I read, I listen to, like, covers and music, because I find that I can't focus without something on in the background, and that is really good to help me. So yeah, I'll check in with you guys later. Hi guys, it's me. I'm back again. So I have finally finished Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward, and this book is a 2-star. One for the cover, because the cover is actually quite pretty and that's what drew me into the story, but the other 1 star that I'm giving it is for the plot, because for nearly 800 pages I couldn't understand what was going on, because the way that this was written is not a writing style that gels very well to me. And I stuck it out for 800 pages, not only to complete the last challenge that was on my TBR, which I needed to complete Tome Topple-a-thon, but because the one character that I cared about, I wanted to read more of. And then at the end, I hate the ending. Oh, I hated the ending. I hated it so much. This book just felt like it was meant to be a second book in a series. It felt like there was supposed to be a book before this, probably called All to Ash, which would describe the previous events of
all the thing and basically be like a setup book, and then this is the book that followed. Because as it is at the moment, I was so confused for the majority of the novel. I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. I had questions, and there was just a lot of stuff thrown at you that wasn't explained and then wasn't brought up. So for my second and final read of the Tome Topple-a-thon, I give this a 2 out of 5 stars. I would not read it again. I'm not interested in continuing on, and that. But if this sounds good to you, like a fantasy about two siblings trying to live in the shadow of their mother and trying to fight for the Southern Shires, and go right ahead. It just wasn't for me. I hated it, plain and simple. So I'm going to give it to my friend because she really wants to read it. So that's where this is going. But yeah, thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Hi, good afternoon guys. It's about 12:15 on the 19th? Yeah, the 19th of November, which means it's a couple of days before the Tome Topple readathon closes out. But I finished my entire TBR a few days early, which means that I'm just going to do a general wrap up of all the books that I've read during the Tome Topple readathon. I haven't been consistently vlogging, one, because I haven't really been in a good headspace the last couple of days to vlog. It goes in and out, and I just don't want to have to vlog when I'm not feeling it. And secondly, I was just really busy with schoolwork, so I couldn't really vlog while I was doing that. So, to go over the challenges and the corresponding books for the Tome Topple-a-thon, let's get into it. So, the first challenge is to read more than one tome, which I did. I read The Haunted Queen by Alison Weir, which is about 500 pages, and then Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward, which is 800 pages. So I read 2 tomes. The second challenge was to read a tome that's been on your TBR the longest, which was Jane Seymour, The Haunted Queen by Alison Weir. This also completed the challenge to read an adult novel as well, which was really good. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. This is a historical fiction telling of Jane Seymour's life by historian Alison Weir. It's part of her 6 Tudor Queen series, where she's retelling the life of the 6 wives of Henry V, and Jane Seymour is the 3rd wife. And Jane Seymour's will kind of rounds out the Anne Boleyn saga that I'm really interested in, as this takes place during Anne's reign and eventually her downfall, and eventually Jane's rise to power before she tragically died from childbirth complications. So this was really fun, 5 out of 5 stars. Then the challenge to read a tome in a genre you're not really reading. I did double up with Legacy of Ash for this one, but I do want to talk about the unofficial book on my TBR that's not really 500 pages, but I read it anyway because I really needed a book to fit this particular challenge. That was Star Wars Catalyst, a Rogue One novel. This novel in particular I gave 4 stars. 1, because it's Star Wars, and Star Wars books are fantastic. Secondly, it's because this retells a story of Jin's parents, Lyra and Galahad, as they fall in love, and eventually Galahad thinks that he's working on like a project that supposedly is going to help future generations with communicating in very uncommunicative areas and safeguarding the galaxy for future generations, but it turns out he's actually working on plans to weaponize the Death Star, unbeknownst to him. This was really good. The villain was really well executed. The story of Galahad and Lyra was really interesting, and it kept my attention the whole way through. I did say in my TBR video that this would be an audiobook. I did try reading the audiobook, and I highly recommend the audiobook, but once I started reading it physically, I stopped listening to the audiobook. But I would recommend the audiobook because it does not only read from the text, but it does do like the whooshing sounds of the doors and the beeping sounds, and it's a fully fledged audiobook, which enhanced my experience of being in a sci-fi world, which was really cool. So 4 out of 5 stars for that one. And the last couple of challenges was to read a tome that's part of a series and read an adult novel. This was for... So I chose Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward, which was originally which is an arc that I had that I want to kind of devour. And this one I rated 2 stars, and I'll tell you why. If you noticed earlier in the vlog, I did go on a bit of a rant about why I hated this book. I did give it 2 stars. 1 star is for the smexy cover of the book, and then just 1 for the only character that I really, really liked. The story made no sense. I think that this would have been better served as a second book in the series rather than a first, because there's a lot of stuff that happens that we don't really know much about, and the characters keep saying this woman was a traitor, this woman was a traitor, I'm glad she's dead, and she does die in the first couple of pages, but you're never given a reason why. It's never really explained. It's explained that she rebelled, but why did she rebel? What caused her to rebel against this power? And without that, all this 800 pages just made no sense, because you've got the 2 children that survived her, one who is just a whiny man-child for the majority of the book, which was not enjoyable to read about, and the other one who's got mummy issues and felt trapped and eventually did something really, really stupid, which is going to come back and bite her in the ass for the next book, which I'm not going to read, but I'm pretty sure, judging by the way the story's going, it might go that way. But this was just extremely disappointing, because I was really looking forward to it, because on the back it makes it sound like it's an epic adventure, but it was just so disjointed. And I reckon if you'd spent a couple of chapters just telling Keitara's story and giving us reasons why, I would have enjoyed it a lot better, because I would have had context behind why people are hating her, what happened to the South Shires and everything. Because as it stands, it's just a mumbled mess of a world, and I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into it. So that is my wrap up for the Tome Topple-a-thon. I hope you enjoyed coming along on this ride with me, and I will look forward to the next readathon vlog that I do. So thank you for watching, and have a fabulous rest of your day. Bye!